Nick here from Turra Firma Guitar Channel. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to have a O shootout with my favourite O for the last year, the Recording King Series 11 O. It's up against my new O, which is a beautiful Eastman E1-OM Special. I hope you enjoy the video. And please like and subscribe to the channel, and please check out my other videos. Okay, so let's get into a comparison of the two guitars. And I'm going to be playing a little bit of Angie by Davy Graham from the 60s in England, and probably made more famous by Bert Jansch. It's a great finger-picking song if you want to get into that. Okay, so a review of my Recording King, the ROS 11, Series 11 O. And look, if you want to see the video I made about this, I did a deep dive about it soon after I got it, quite a popular video. I was very keen on this guitar, and I do think it's a great guitar, especially for the price. In Australia, it's around $900, but you can get it a bit cheaper. And it's all solid wood, so let's have a look at the top. There you go, you can see it's got solid Sitka spruce, it's got the tobacco sunburst. And I think what's outstanding about this guitar is the neck. It's 1 3/4. I really like the neck feel on this thing. It's quite solid. It's a bit wider and deeper than most modern necks. A really lovely sort of vintage feel. The action on this particular guitar was always fantastic, and I mean the neck was straight. It was really well set up. And yeah, I really like the feel of it. And if you've got bigger hands or your finger style and you like to have more space, it's just got a big roomy feel to it, this neck. And also down here, it's nice and spacious here. I think this is a little bit wider than average, the width at the saddle. It's got a bone saddle, it's got a bone nut, and I really like the timber here, and I found out this was Ovoncal. I've put a bit of oil in that. Very like rosewood in look. This camera is making it look like there's these deeper little grooves in it. It's a pretty nice neck, I think. Yeah, so it's a really good playable guitar, and I know some of the older guys, you're fussy about having a wide neck, and for fingerstyle you want to have that space, and this guitar definitely delivers that in the vintage vibe that they're going for. Let's look at the back. I actually put some wax on this, so it's a little bit more lustrous than normal. It's got the open pore finish, and it's got a satin and mahogany neck, mahogany back and sides, all solid, with the white binding. It's pretty nice. Look, the thing is, this is a shootout video. This guitar versus the new Eastman O. And I do have to get rid of one of these guitars just because I've got too many, and I'm kind of going to regret it, but it is going to be this guitar. I've expressed my enthusiasm about it being lightly built, and it certainly isn't. It's very lively, but it just lacks a bit of depth and strength, which I'm getting out of the Eastman. It just feels a bit lighter, and if I'm going to use a negative word, a bit more flimsy sounding. I've upgraded these bridge pins, and I think you get a slightly nicer tone if you replace the plastic. It's pretty subtle. Look, the other thing was I've upgraded these tuners, and I've got a video about that. These are Grovers from China. I don't know if they're real, but they certainly work well. The tuners that came with this guitar, they were a vintage open back with a white button. Yeah, there was just a bit of play in them, and they didn't feel great. And the other thing is, someone commented about this in the comments. They don't like this, but that is an accessible way of getting your battery in. This comes with a pickup. These Fishmans are hit and miss, I find, with the under saddle. This is outstanding. The sound of this out through the Fishman is really nice. It's just a bit of luck on some of those, because I've had Eastmans with this same Fishman pickup, and they don't sound that good, and they don't sound balanced. This guitar sounds great plugged in. So that's the little Recording King ROS 11. Pretty nicely sorted guitar. Picking up on the little introductory snippet, Alice's Restaurant, which was Arlo Guthrie's famous tune, and Arlo Guthrie was the son of the even more famous Woody Guthrie. Okay, now the Eastman. So it's got this headstock here with the black veneer. Open gear tuners. Eastman's starting to use the ones with this little screw here. I really like this. It's got a tobacco tan finish to the neck, also a matte finish on the neck. And as you can see, compared to the RK, it's definitely slimmer that way. It just hasn't got as much substance as the RK. I quite like the substantial neck, but of course I'm used to these guys as well. The Eastman. 1 3/4 bone neck. This has got a pretty nice piece of ebony. I've done a video comparing this guitar, well, my initial impressions of this guitar, and comparing it to an LL16 Yamaha. And towards the end of that video, I just point out that I've identified some high frets. I've put the texture on the frets. I'm going to level those. And there was a little high one here. Now, this is a special. Let's have a look at the label. It's an E1-OM Special. Now, the EMs have been really popular Eastman guitars because they are the cheapest traditional series. They usually have a matte finish, an open pore finish, just like the RK, but one of the things about this guitar being a special is it's got this gloss finish. It's called a true tone gloss. It's got a Sitka spruce top. You can see quite a nice grain on it. And it's thermo cured, so it's been aged. You can see, look at that. And being a special, it's got this special inlay here. So it's got the dots and then it's got the inlay, which is quite pretty. And I made another point about this guitar in my other video, which is really nicely finished frets. Pretty happy with that. So it's got the herringbone purfling around the sound hole. It's got a pretty plain binding here. And it's got the tortoise binding here. And look, the other thing about it being a special, apart from the gloss finish, is this beautiful back. So this is quilted sapelli. It's why I bought this guitar. It's just so pretty. So quilted sapelli back and side solid, of course. And I noticed these are still available in Australia. They're really worth getting. They're a little bit more expensive than the standard E1-OMs without the special features. I think I paid about $11.50 for this guitar. So this one's the keeper. And look, it's a lot, not a lot heavier, but it's certainly noticeably heavier than the Recording King. But I just wonder about weight. And I was saying how good it is to have a light guitar. And they say that a lot of the Holy Grail guitars from before the Second World War, the Martins, were light to pick up. But I just wonder, I guess you've got a big block here at the neck. You've got a tail block. And I'm guessing they could be big and heavy, but really it depends, I guess, on how lightly you build the top. This guitar is not louder than the Recording King, but it's definitely got some substance and a bit more power and maybe sustain to the sound, which on balance I really like. It's a more refined sounding guitar. So for that reason, I'm going to keep it. And the thing about Eastman's too is that RK is really nicely made and it's clean inside and everything, but they are more mass produced, whereas you just still get the feeling with these Eastmans that apart from the nice wood, there's just a feel that they're sort of special and each one is specially made. There's a lot more hand crafting going on and you feel like you're getting a boutique kind of guitar at ridiculously low prices. Now these aren't ridiculously cheap, but for the price, for what you're getting in terms of premium timber, you know, the ebony, good quality fittings, bone nut and saddle, ebony bridge pins, and really nice timber. It's beautifully fine grained sapelli. You know, really, you're getting an amazing guitar for the money. You've got to go up to like a $4,000 Martin, you know, or Gibson to get something that sounds better. And I really like that Martin sound, and I hear some stellar sounding Martins. And of course you've got your Collings and you've got expensive boutique guitars, and they're better, but for this price, I just think this thing's unrivaled. So there you go. Enjoy the sound comparisons. I have a lot of guitars. I have to thin out my collection a little bit, so I'm regretfully selling the O Recording King, having enjoyed it for about a year. And this one's fitting the bill as a O guitar. Why is it a O? It's because it's got a 24.9 inch scale. So it's a shorter scale guitar. And Eastman called this an OM, but traditionally the Martin OM had a 25.4 inch scale, a full length scale, and their O's are the short scale. So that's really the correct way to describe this guitar. And the RK is also 24.9 inch scale. And one nice thing about that is it is easy to bend the strings. You're not going to produce as much power as the long scale, but they're a little bit more supple to play. Finally, I'm going to take the capo off both guitars so you can hear the bottom end notes on both guitars. And this is just some chords. So yes, look, I'm not going to pass too much comment on what I think of the guitars. You should be able to hear it. I will say that the Eastman does have a bit more depth to it and maybe a bit more sustain. In comparison, the RK is a little bit thinner. That said, in the room, the RK is bright and loud. It has a bit of cut as well, but there's just a bit of refinement and depth to the Eastman that I find compelling.